There's a lot of controversy about specific policies that have been debated and in some cases adopted over the last couple of years. I think part of what's going on is that the people who come to the policy-making process with democratic partisan loyalties are likely to think that what the president and Congress are trying to do is going to be helpful somehow, whereas the people who come with Republican predispositions are likely to think that whatever happens, it's not going to be good. The cultural and opinion bases for the latter view, I think, have partly to do with a long-standing suspicion that Americans have about government and about the role of government. And so when the president says that we need huge increases in government spending in order to get the economy out of recession, there are a lot of people who think that that's an implausible recipe for economic success, and that what the government should do is to spend as little money as possible and give the money back in tax breaks to ordinary citizens and to businesses. There's a lot of faith generally in the American public in the free enterprise system and in the way that businesses, if they're unfettered, are likely to contribute to economic growth. The other piece of this, in my analysis of people's opinions about the big Bush tax cuts that were adopted about a decade ago, it turned out, although there were certainly partisan and ideological explanations for why people supported or opposed those tax cuts, one of the big elements in accounting for people's enthusiasm for the tax cuts was their own feeling about their own tax burdens. I refer to this as unenlightened self-interest, that lots of people who thought their own taxes were too high were in favor of a tax cut even though it was engineered in such a way that their own tax reductions would be quite small, and most of the benefits would go to people who were much wealthier than they are. And so I think part of what people are grasping for in their assessment of the current policies that are being debated or adopted is some sense of whether those policies will be good or bad for them specifically. And much of the politics of this has to do with middle-class citizens and their sense of whether this is something that is going to be good or bad for them. And it's very difficult for them to know that, obviously, because the policies are so complicated and they're going to play out over a long period of time.